Hi, it's Dave, and I wanted to talk to you today about a short little phrase from a piece of music by the composer Olivier Messian. One of his last works that he wrote, Concert à Quatre, which I can't say with a French accent. The last movement, the Rondeau, there is this little snippet of a cello phrase. It's not even probably a full melody, really. It's just a phrase that I think, in my humble opinion, could be one of the most beautiful phrases ever written in music. I don't expect you to agree with me. You are free to completely disagree, but I just want to play it for you here. I've done a mock-up of it here on virtual instruments, but this is how it sounds. Now, I know it sounds weird, but there is just this sort of luminous beauty about it that I find there's something sort of intoxicating about it. It sounds so unusual and so weird, but so beautiful. Let me just play it again. And it almost sounds like it goes backwards or something at the end. There's just something really strikingly beautiful but weird about it. And so what I want to do is just break down a little bit what's going on there, because I think this is a perfect example of why Messian was a musical genius. We'll take the melody on its own to start with. The melody on its own is weird. There's all these intervals in it that just sound off. Let me just play it on the piano. Yeah, there we go. So it starts on the A. First change there is to a D sharp. Tritone, which is sort of renowned for being not something that you would use in a melody typically, because it's a kind of awkward interval to sing. But anyway, so it goes from there. Now, if I play all those notes together, it's an odd combination of notes. They're kind of clashy. It's sort of based around a kind of diminished chord. Again, there's a tritone at the end, and it's sort of hovering around like a F sharp 7th chord. It's just an unusual combination of notes, especially when it starts on A. To sort of end up on an F sharp 7th chord is strange. So there's unusual intervals in there. The rhythm is unusual. Like I said, it kind of feels like it's getting slurped in reverse at the end. Let me just play it through the melody on its own again. It's just got this unusual sort of rhythm to it. Now, there's kind of two layers of things going on below it. There's 3 violas that are harmonizing this melody, and they're doing some slightly odd things. But what we're going to look at first is there's 3 cellos below it playing some chords. Now, let me play you these chords on their own, the chords that are going below it. Strange, isn't it? They're really nice and very normal. So what's going on here? There's an A major chord. Let me just highlight the piano here. There's an A major chord with the C sharp in the bass. So it's an A, but you've got the 3rd in the bass, so it's kind of warm sounding. Normally, if you just have it in the root position, which sounds like a straight major chord, this has got the 3rd in the bass. It's got a warmer, sort of friendlier sound. The next chord is D6th, which is a D major with a B on it as well. Very pretty sounding. And then D7th. A major, D major, E major, essentially, which is, Louis Louis. it's pop song. It's a standard pop song progression, basically. C, D, E. This is a bit fancy because it's got the C sharp on the bass, and then the 6th, and then there's the 7th chord on the E. But apart from that, it is like a pop chord progression. Very, very basic, very simple. It's classic, standard progression, really. Now, if we add the melody back in over the top, you'll hear how the notes that are foreign to that really spice up that progression and put it in a different context. Also, that there's the long note in the melody, and then I hear these 3 notes as grouped together. So it goes ding, and then these notes are grouped together. That's where it rests. So I feel like it's ding. But the chord doesn't change until that note's been played. The chord changes on that note. So it's got this weird feel to it. It kind of feels out of time and feels off kilter. But anyway, let's play just the melody and the chords that are below it on the cellos. So already with the melody, it gives an odd slant to the chords that sound very they sound nice, but they sound very simple and kind of basic on their own. They don't sound like that anymore with this melody. And there's something going on here because that chord at the bottom is an E7th, like this, and the melody is going. So it's sort of outlining an F sharp 7th chord, which played together would sound like this. Very kind of complex, extended chord. So just those notes going over the top kind of give it a very extended chord feeling. It's like a 13th chord with a sharpened 11th and a 7th in there, and it's just a sort of complex sound. Now, we've got these 3 violas in the middle that are playing. The top line is also doubling the melody in the solo cello, but the other 2 are harmonizing it and sound like this, just on their own. Okay, so there's quite a lot going on there. The first thing is, the really interesting thing is that on that A chord at the beginning, they're not playing the C sharp. They are just playing, let me solo the piano here as well. They are just playing, oh, sorry, that's not right. They're just playing the E and the A, which gives it this really stark, bare sound. And then you add in the cellos playing the first inversion A major chord at the bottom. And it's just this really nice combination of the warm first inversion A major with the harsh, declamatory, bare version at the top. Let me just play the whole thing there. It sounds really nice together. Just very bold sounding, I would say, for a major chord. It's very bold orchestration of it. It sounds very distinctive. Right, so these 3 violas, let me highlight these a bit. When they move around these chords, when they settle on the longer notes, they actually sit on the same chords as the cellos at the bottom. Like, well, they play the A to start with, and then they settle on the D, although they have a C in there as well. But they settle on the D6th chord, and then they settle on the E7th chord. But in between, over the A chord at the beginning, this first chord here is an E flat major. So have I got the, no, I'll highlight the piano here. There's the A. Oh, I've muted it. Excusez-moi. It's solo. You've got the A going on here, and those violas actually play that over the top of it. So, but they do that sort of on the offbeats. They do that in between settling on the actual chords that are played by the cello below them. So they're off the beat. They're sort of in between notes. So that discordance is kind of covered up. It becomes like spice that just it just makes the chords kind of tingle rather than actually just sounding discordant. Also, I think just before it plays the E7th chord on the cellos, the violas play a C sharp major. Which again, if you play them together, it's very complex, very dissonant, and quite sort of, it's quite a tough listen to slog through chords like that. But if you orchestrate them this way, where they're moving past you, they're moving through and they're off the beat, then they become a lot easier to digest. And especially as it's moving from a major chord to another major chord via these very off-key, very discordant chords. Plus you've got also the extra 6th, 13th and things that are spicing everything up. Plus this melody that uses these unusual intervals that sound off, but they also sound beautiful because they're just in these major chords as well. This combination creates this kind of lushly beautiful but alien and weird phrase. And I just love it. I just think it's such an incredible thing to have done. And I'm a composer. I write. I know lots of composers, but I don't know anyone who would come up with something this. At once, it's simple. It's a simple phrase. You hear it and you just get it. You can, it's not sort of like you're trying to unpack all this craziness that's going on in there. It's like you hear it, you understand the melody, and it takes you along with it. But it's extremely sophisticated, very unusual. There's a lot of detail, but it just works. And to me, it's sort of like nature. It's like it just does what it does. It's unique. It just works, but it's complex and it's sort of unfathomable at the same time. There's such depth to it that you can't sort of get to the bottom of it. I mean, I've gone through what the notes are doing, but that doesn't explain the sound. It doesn't explain why it's got this, sounds like an aura sort of hovering around and illuminating the melody. And, all I've done here is type in the notes from the score. I haven't really done anything to make those notes sound particularly better, in that you can add quite a lot of sort of different stuff when you type in notes in here. You can add quite a lot of different expression to it. These are all just the same velocity notes, so I haven't done a lot to this, but just typing in the notes as he wrote them in the score gives your 99% to the effect that it has played by live instruments, really. And I mean, now I know that these chords are just this simple A, D, and E chords. But even listening to that and then trying to hear that under here, it just doesn't sound like it's there. Because the stuff that's over the top of it adds so much difference. It's just such a remarkable thing, and this is taken from the whole piece of music. This is taken from last I don't know, is it 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and this is 5 seconds out of that. It's 5 seconds of music, and there's so much in there to unpack, and I can't write something like this. I can see what he's done, sort of. I can get an idea of what he's done, but I can't write something that has this effect. I don't know how. It's just really extraordinary. I hope that even if you don't like it, or if it doesn't move you particularly, I hope that you can, from this little explanation, a little sort of dig into what's in there, I hope you can appreciate how unusual and special it is. And I'll put a link in under the video as well to the music actually played by an orchestra, because it does sound more beautiful. It's just extraordinary and strange, and this is why the guy was a genius, because he could do stuff like this. Hope it's been interesting. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.